Previously, on the Walking Dead comic covers breakdown series, we looked at issues 1 to 114 in 22 different videos, with bonus Compendium 1 and 2 and issue 100 breakdowns. And now, the Walking Dead comic covers part 23, issue 115, the start of All Out War. The need to make a special video for this one issue is because this set of covers remains the largest variant set in the Walking Dead comic history for one single issue, containing a standard cover, 10 connecting covers, a blank sketch variant, 2 midnight release variants, one in color and one in black and white, and a New York Comic-Con exclusive, followed by a very impressive second print with a fold-out banner of All Out War. Let's begin with cover A. This standard cover features what will become the style for all of the All Out War covers, with Rick Grimes being the first character portrait in the middle, with a good guy story preview on one side and a bad guy story preview on the other. This will be explored more in the coming comic cover breakdowns. On the left, it previews Rick leading the attack against the Sanctuary. However, in the story, Rick doesn't wear the iconic coat, and he doesn't stand on a vehicle. And on the right, Dwight looks worried, which might represent his struggle to remain undercover long enough to stab Negan in the back. And Negan doesn't quite get a bruised face, but he does get a little bit of a bruised ego, receiving the first hit in the first battle of this war. The next 10 covers can be connected to form one giant poster celebrating 10 years of being published. Each cover represents a single year, showcasing some of the most iconic moments during that specific year, starting with the very beginning. Cover B has Carl shooting Shane, highlighting the fallout from the love triangle between his parents and Shane. Rick ominously looking down at his wedding ring, and Shane and Lori about to kiss, while the RV is driving through a snow-covered wasteland full of the Walking Dead. Cover C highlights the claustrophobic and irritable living quarters inside the prison, as Rick and Tyrese get mad as hell at each other and beat the living shit out of one another. Thomas attacking Andrea after murdering 2 of Herschel's daughters, and a very cool image of Michonne with her pets. Our first look at Michonne was on the cover of issue 19, which was drawn by original Walking Dead artist Tony Moore. She was facing us, and now it's flipped, with her facing the prison and her back is to us. Dressed a little different, but still holding her katana just the same. I love the idea of flipping this image, and Tony Moore's issue 19 is his vision of Michonne walking towards us. And this cover C is Charlie Adler's vision of Michonne walking away from us. Cover D highlights the horror of discovering the little town of Woodbury, run by a madman called the Governor. The same madman who locks Glenn up so we can hear the brutal, relentless rape and torture of Michonne. The same man who also cuts off Rick's hand, later feeding it to his zombie daughter. And finally, revenge coming for the Governor when Michonne gets free and kicks in his door, coming face to face with the Governor and his Walker daughter, Penny. Cover E highlights the first real battle in the world of the Walking Dead that was more like a slaughter. A brutal loss to Rick Grimes was his daughter and wife being gunned down together as they fled the fight they were never truly ready for. And it's here in the story where Andrea takes a beating and never stops fighting back, foreshadowing a beating she'll take, but much more intimately, before All Out War. And it's here where she wins the hearts of a lot of fans, while other fans had their hearts broken with the loss of Tyrese, which is reimagined on this cover just the same as it was on cover 46, and similar to the actual panels inside the story. And finally, on the bottom, the wimps and warriors of Woodbury, and their bitch-ass leader, the Governor, safely traveling in his tank. Next, cover F. What is left of the survivors after the Governor's attack meet a new group that stop by Herschel's farm. This image is a combination of issue 53's cover and the panel in the comics where they are by the truck. Also highlighted is Rick's mental breakdown over the loss of his wife and daughter, and surviving out in the open road with Abraham after being attacked by a demented group of thugs. The blood spilt is right from the story, but it also represents the amount of blood Rick Grimes must become comfortable with just to survive. Cover G highlights the fear and madness of being hunted as food by other survivors. Andrea, hearing something in the woods, closely resembles the cover and the panels from inside the story. And Dale, in one of the most iconic scenes from the comic, being taken and having his foot cut off and cooked for food, but still laughing about it because he's already been bitten and will die soon anyway. And finally, with the help of a new character, Father Gabriel, Rick and gang track down the hunters, and Rick gives the order to shoot off the leader's fingers just before butchering them all. Cover H highlights the struggles of returning to some type of normalcy after surviving extreme brutality by being extremely brutal. They show up at a community called the Alexandria Safe Zone, where it's like the world has never ended. However, that is all just some thick makeup on a really ugly bitch called reality. Cover I highlights the wound that Carl receives that will change him and how many others see him for the rest of his life. And Michonne deals with the loss of Morgan during No Way Out, and Rick and Andrea find love, surviving through all this death and destruction. Cover J highlights the sudden death of Abraham Ford and Jesus leading the survivors to the hilltop for the very first time, and the violent introduction of Negan raising his bat high above his head before bringing it crashing down on Glenn's waiting skull. Cover K, Maggie at Glenn's grave, just like cover 109, but it's more accurate to the panels inside the actual story. And this image of Carl is him changing and becoming more capable than he's ever been before. And it also showcases the soldiers behind the 3 community representatives on the battlefield. The hilltop is led on the battlefield by Jesus, Alexandria led by Rick Grimes, and the kingdom led by Ezekiel and Shiva. Cover M is the midnight release, where we have walkers around Carl, which is very similar to an image we saw previously in the story well before the war. And then we have character portraits of Andrea, Rick, Michonne, and Negan's face. And cover N is the black and white version of the midnight release. Cover O is just a fun New York Comic-Con exclusive. And finally, the second print is a pull-out, all-out war banner. Jesus and Ezekiel with Shiva is similar to a few panels inside the story, but most of the banner is like a war portrait, getting fans excited and hinting at what is to come. Coming up next, All Out War, Part 1.
Subscribe now.
Cover H highlights the struggle, by being extremely brutal.